Welcome to this behind the board on mastering. Now we're going to take that mix that we did and run it through some mastering stuff. So when you're mastering, you're only working with the mixed track. So you have a stereo track, you have the left and right signal only, and that's all you're going to work with. If you want to do things like bring the vocals up or something like that, go back to the mix and do it there. You could get real complicated with this, and there are plugins you could buy that will let you take up the vocals with this stereo 2-track rather than the entirety of the song. But you're better off doing it in the entirety of the song, because even those plugins, they don't do a fantastic job at it. They just kind of give you different options on what to bring out. You could bring out things from the middle rather than things panned hard left and right, and so on like that. And those are mastering plugins. Pretty cool stuff, but you shouldn't have to really spend any money on it. You shouldn't have to dig into it too much, because we could do it all in our mix and get our mix right, and then come in here and do our master separately. Before I go any further, I want to show you how I actually brought the track in, just in case you want to bring in your own track. So you go up to File, Import, and import audio. I saved it on the desktop as, I think, form mastering track to master right here. It's on my desktop. Just locate yours. You could double click it and it should be in this folder. That's important. You need it to go from here to here. You can press the add button. Double clicking it also works. You shouldn't have to do any sample rate stuff since we're going from 44.1 to 44.1. Shouldn't be an issue. And let's just bring that in. You could bring it in as a new track at the session start, and you could work with your track instead of the one I'm mastering, and do that over and over again. So let's talk about the first thing we want to do, and the first thing we want to do is EQ this. We want to EQ to find any other real nasty spots and take them out. So let's go to a multi-channel plugin, our EQ37 band that we've been using so much. So we'll bring that guy up, and we'll take a look to see if there's any sounds really bugging us. I'd like to try starting in like choruses where things are big is where we're going to hear this the most. So let's try starting at the chorus at around 50 seconds.
I don't wanna be another enemy, another memory. Don't wanna fall in your eyes. I don't wanna be another enemy, another memory. Don't wanna fall in your eyes.
Right over there, we could give it a tiny dip. Let's get that cue up a little bit. And when you're mastering, you don't want to dip these hard. You want to dip them a little bit. I'm going to give this a 2D dip. We'll try to find any more that are in here.
I don't wanna be another enemy, another memory. Don't wanna fall in your eyes. I don't wanna be another.
Right there, right around that 1000 hertz is sounding pretty nasty too. So we're going to take that down just a little bit, just to hide it, not to really take it completely out.
I don't wanna be another enemy, another memory. Don't wanna fall in your eyes. I don't wanna be another enemy, another memory. Don't wanna fall in your eyes.
Right there, I'm just going to put one more little dip. And I'm happy with my mastering EQ. Now what we're going to do is just cut the absolute bottom and the absolute top, put it on the 12 dB cut, and that's about all you want to do. I don't really need what's really on the absolute bottom and the absolute top. And you can make some adjustments as you're listening back. You'll see that you're taking out stuff that's hardly there. It's probably just noise in the background that you don't want in your final mastered track anyway. So there we go. I just flipped those both on, our low pass filter and our high pass filter, and I adjusted the low pass just a little bit, but not much. But feel free to adjust it more than that. Have some fun with it. Let's move over to our dynamic plugin. So now we're all about making this a bit louder. And not louder just for the sake of it being louder, but louder so that it can compete with other stuff that you're going to hear on the radio and other CDs and everything like that, and other discs and MP3s. So let's go into our multi-channel dynamic plugin, and we'll just start off with the compressor we know. So what we want to do with these compressors is do several levels of compression. So we keep on pushing down to the point where when we put a limiter on, and a limiter is going to be a roof, it's going to completely stop the sound from going over the threshold. So when we put a limiter on, it's not very noticeable. We don't want it to be like, oh wow, we really slammed it hard with that limiter. We want to just use things with finesse here. So we're going to start off with what they have as a limiter. Go to their gentle limiting, and you'll see when you go into a limiter, the ratio goes blasted up. That's a 100-to-1 ratio. We start limiting at about 60-to-1. This is blasted all the way to 100-to-1. So this is definitely limiting. We don't want to do that, so I'm going to take this down like crazy. We're going to take this down to, let's do 4-to-1. And I like that knee. It's pretty soft. We'll keep that going that way. And we'll leave all the other limiting type stuff going on here because I want to do that. I want it to feel like a limiter, but just have compression first so that when we throw the limiter on, it doesn't go nuts. So here we go.
I don't wanna be another enemy, another memory. Don't wanna fall in your eyes. I don't wanna be another enemy, another memory. Don't wanna fall in your eyes. It's nothing for miles, it must have passed us by. We open and close the heaviest eyes. This is the worst, best thing I ever did. Say something I can't say.
Right, so I'm getting some pretty good compression from this. I don't want it to go crazy anywhere. We want to do several levels and make it sound real nice. Now, I want to put my next compressor on a master track. So let's bring up a master track. Just go to Track New, and you could create yourself a stereo master fader. So there we go. I'm just spreading this out a little bit. I like to have a master track up when I'm mastering. So I put a couple plugins on this one, and then I'm going to go over here, put a couple plugins in as well. So let's start off now. I'm going to use the other compressor because it gives it a pretty cool color, this BF76. Go to your Dynamics BF76. It's your Bomb Factory model of an 1176. Let's put the ratio on 12. So we're going to hit it a lot harder than the 4-to-1 we just did, but we should have less resistance because that compressor is pushing down already. So we should be able to put this on and do it kind of gently, and then we'll start really limiting.
I don't wanna be another enemy, another memory. Don't wanna fall in your eyes. I don't wanna be another.
Okay, so we're closer. I want to bring my attack speed up a little bit. My release up a tiny bit. Let's see what we got.
I don't wanna be another enemy, another memory. Don't wanna fall in your.
My release was a little better when we were down. Let's go down to a little under 5.
I don't wanna be another enemy, another memory. Don't wanna fall in your eyes. I don't wanna be another enemy, another memory. Don't wanna fall in your eyes. Nothing for miles, it must have passed.
Very nice. That's looking good for us now. So we have 2 levels of compression, and now we're going to throw our limiter on. Go to your multi-channel dynamic plugins and bring up Maxim. That's going to be your limiter. All right, this plugin's pretty great. It has pretty good defaults too. I'm just going to do a mixing limiter to start off with. It has our threshold and our ceiling. So anytime something hits the -6.1 dB point, it will be pushed down. So if it goes to -5, that would be over -6, it's going to be pushed down to -6. So everything at that threshold level will be pushed like crazy. So it will be pushed to the threshold level. And we have our ceiling coming out at -0.1 dB to avoid any sort of just redlining or anything like that. And still, I'd like to do this. Just grab your hand tool, it's F8, and make this guy go down 1 for us to, let's make him a little bigger. I'd like to make him go down 0.2 is fine. Or -0.3 I got right there. Go back to your trim tool. Fantastic. So let's take a listen to what this sounds like. This is their preset. This is without us doing anything to it. You can see they have their release set already at 170 milliseconds and their threshold's at -6.1. Let's take a look.
I don't wanna be another enemy, another memory. Don't wanna fall in your eyes. I don't wanna.
Okay, so we got to push a little bit more getting into this plugin. So let's go back to our Bomb Factory plugin and push that a little bit. I want to bring that up to about here. in your output.
I don't wanna be another.
All right, that's feeling better. Let's see if it's affecting this better.
I don't wanna be another enemy, another memory. Don't wanna fall in your eyes. I don't wanna be.
You can see right over here, it's not letting it dance above that 6 pretty much at all. So that's its threshold. It's making everything right at that, then inflating it a bit to the ceiling, 0.01 dB. And we can take a look at that just on the master track.
I don't wanna be another enemy, another memory. Don't wanna fall in.
So you can see on the master track, it's going up and it's getting very hot, but it's not at any point redlining. And we don't want it to redline. That's why we're using these limiters, and that's a lot of what mastering is really about, making sure we get it nice and loud without redlining. Is a key point of mastering. So the next thing we want to do is add our dithering and our noise shaping in. So click on dither and noise shaping. So right under where it says dither on, and click the noise shaping on as well. And we're going from 24-bit to 16-bit. So we want to turn the noise shaping onto 16 there. And this is going to help us get rid of digital artifacts as we convert down from 24-bit to 16-bit, and we need to be at 16-bit if we're putting this on an audio CD. And if we're not putting this on an audio CD, we would want the higher resolution because it sounds better, and then there's a lot more spots for the digital audio to catch, a lot more different frequencies, different lines, different, more resolution there. So we did all that. We turned all of that on. Let's take a listen, see if it did anything to make anything messy for us. Let's take a quick listen here.
Another memory. Don't wanna fall in your eyes.
Now let's turn it on and off while we have it going.
Enemy, another memory. Don't wanna fall in your eyes.
So that's how we started, and then we went like this.
Enemy, another memory. Don't wanna fall in your eyes.
And you can see that there are, little bits of difference going on, especially since we are converting down now. You lose a tiny bit of quality going from 24 to 16, but for our purposes, for what we're trying to get out of this, and what we're trying to get it on an audio CD, we need to do this sort of thing. So you finish up by putting your dithering on, and you can mess around with it and make sure that it works perfectly, but right now you just kind of flip it on and fool around with it, see what you like about the noise shaping, what you don't, and try some other plugins that you might find that do some dithering and noise shaping for you as well. See what you like the most. And if this turns into something that you really get involved in, you get really interested in it, please let me know. We'll talk more about dithering and noise shaping and really, what that does. But for right now, for our purposes, your next step is to bounce this out. So you just bounce it out, and you have your complete mastered track, and you should listen to it over and over on different audio sources. Go ahead and listen to it in your car, listen to it on a computer, and so on, and take some notes, then go back to your mix, fix that up, bring it back into mastering, tweak that as well, bounce it out again, and that's a repetitive process until you have it sounding exactly how you want it to sound. But here we are in our first mix and master, and it's sounding pretty good to start out with. So thanks for being with me on this one, and I'll see you on the next one.